Dunk.
How we doing, guys, gals, and non-binary pals? Invale here, bringing you another memes build video. Now, this one, I'm really surprised I've not conceived of this before. I think it's just because, for some weird reason, I don't really make that many poison characters. Even though green's my favourite colour. I think I'd have green all over the screen. I digress. It's probably also because the rune word itself, I didn't use it much in LOD, and then the changes they've made in PD2 are just phenomenal. And the fact that you can pile it on twice onto a Barbarian, I was like, how have I not conceived of this before? But anyway, Poison Strike Barbarian. Let's go through the skills. So, Warcry tree. We have 1 point Grim Ward, which helps your Mercenary out and helps against bosses. And we have Max Battle Command, so we have bonus all skills of +3, because we need as many skills as possible in this one that aren't Barb skill, because we're using a Necromancer skill. And we have about 9, I think, hard points in Battle Cry, which is to help bring down bosses and to help the Mercenary get her hits. Combat Masteries. We've maxed General Mastery for the attack and damage. Oh, geez. Because obviously we're not using weapons with huge physical damage in the first place, and the rune word Venom doesn't have any enhanced physical damage stat on it. So, yeah. Physical damage is a bit of a no-no. But again, if we can get a chance for it to critical strike, it then becomes very minor. Anyway, we've got Iron Skin. And the reason we have maxed Iron Skin is because even though we're a hit-and-run character, you can't block because you have a weapon in each hand. So, and your defense isn't hugely high. Even though we have Shout and Iron Skin, you get tagged and you lose a lot of health. This character, yeah, hit and run. And the gear is very focused on maxing your poison damage, so we don't have any damage reduction gear on. So we need as much as we can get. And then the 1 point wonders there. I was thinking about experimenting with increased speed and leap attack and having a scythe for the poison damage, because Poison Strike works with a scythe or a dagger class weapon. So look forward to a future build video of me using leap attack on a barb with a scythe. But for now, we maxed Frenzy, because we have the 2 daggers, and we maxed Frenzy so that we get the hit and run tactics to its maximum potential. So again, no physical damage really from this, but we get the walk run speed, we get the attack speed, and then obviously the increased melee splash radius and damage and attack is when we're polishing off very weak enemies at the very end of their life pool. Because you will have sustained a fair amount of damage. Let's say my life pool's about there. We stab, 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 stab. It will go from there to sort of there. It still won't be full. That's how physically weak the character is. But don't be alarmed by that, everybody. It works very well. You just have to adopt some very different tactics in the gameplay. But we'll go over that soon. So that's the skills. Let's go over the gear on this Barbarian. It's insane. It's a lot of fun. So we have Venom twice. So you want to roll the only variable stat on this as much as possible. Now luckily it's very cheap as Tal, Dol and Mal. Obviously Mal at the start of the season isn't very cheap, so I do recommend try this a bit later on when you've gathered some wealth. So you want to roll this as much as possible to get the 30 to enemy poison resistance. Now I've only rolled a 26 and a 28, but I was like close enough. Just to show you guys it doesn't have to be perfect. Same with the armor slot. I have a bramble here which was donated to me by my friend Hyrule. It's 44 to poison skill damage, so it's just under halfway, because 45 is half. 50 would be great, of course. It's minimal thorns as well, but thorns isn't really applicable here because we're not stacking attack takes damage gear. Although, if an enemy's attacking you and they're particularly powerful, it is quite funny to watch them take a hit from or your Mercenary. So that's the armor slot. I don't think there's anything else you could use here. To be honest, you need that massive poison skill damage increase. Although saying that, a lot of your damage comes from things like this. Small chunk. We'll go over that in a second. And Dariel's Visage Helmet. Now, I did have a just rubbish version of this I found myself. But I really wanted to maximize the damage potential through facets, so I actually bought this one. I think I paid a Vex or something, I don't remember. But I was like, I've got to have it. In fact, it was probably more than that. It's a 3-socket Andes Vex. But anyway, talking about this, I would usually use the Venom charges on this to truncate the poison damage. Now that's all well and good if we were standing in melee range, we charge up the Frenzy and then just start stabbing with Poison Strike and standing there and tanking it. The problem with this build is you're not a tank. You will die against scary mobs in Throne of Insanity and things like that. They will just gun you down. So we have to adopt a whole new tactic. So no truncating with Venom this time, people, okay? We've got nearly 70k poison damage over 45 seconds. You think, well, that doesn't sound too good. But if we truncated it, it would be 2k over 1, which is fine if you're, like I said, constantly hitting. We're not. We want that tick damage. We'll show that in the gameplay. So poison damage, as I was saying, we need as much as possible. So with Venom Runeword, as you can see, it's 642 to 717 poison damage, which is fantastic. It's a lot of poison damage. And also down here, that. So Mara's for the amulet. Again, I found this one at the start of the season and slammed it. You might remember it from one of my early videos of season 11. It just sat in the stash rotting, which is sad because, you know, it needed use. And what better character to put it on than this, because you need the attributes to equip the heavy armor. We need the resistances because we don't have a shield. We're using 2 weapons. And then the cast rate's actually useful to just get out your buffs as quickly as possible. So while we're here, we'll go over it. So switch weapon is Nages, which was an idea given to me by a fellow streamer, Nico. Go check out his Twitch, he's amazing. So what he does with his Barbarian, he has Nages Puzzler on Switch. And he's a rich boy, so he'd have a +1 slam 1 for 4 to all skills. And so you have everything in one place there. Because I like to have teleport on every character. So you get the teleport charges, well, blink rather, and you also get the plus skills to buff. So sadly, it does mean you lose a lot of plus skills to your buffing. You know, you could have a Mang Songs here, for, you know, with a +1 slam for 7 tool skills to get good shouts up. But I don't mind taking that hit because when I'm casting Battle Command, I don't need it for the enhanced damage myself. I just need it for the plus skills, so I have more plus skills added to the O skill of Poison Strike. So as you see, you get 6 to Poison Strike from each rune word. So that's 12 as a base skill there already. Then you get +2 from Andes. A better slot here, of course, would be a +1 slam with 2 socket P-box, 2 facets. That would be Luciond, +1 skills, and then +1 skills again. Would be the smart choice there. That would be a 50 poison skill damage Bramble. Boots, I needed some resistances, because again, I have a torch in Annie with this character, but I want to overstack my resistances so I'm as healthy as possible, should we say. I'll just move my head so you can see. So yeah, I found those myself and slammed them, and it was amazing. I was so happy. I needed big reses on the boot slot, and I got them. Very happy with that. So, this ring, oddly similar to my Assassin video I just recorded. Physical damage reduction, but mostly just there for the cannot be frozen. Snake Cord for the belt. I got this really early on in the season. 6 to poison skill damage, slammed it for strength and thought that's fantastic, because the strength will help me put things like this on. So yeah, that was great. Carrion Wind is practically mandatory. Again, when I slammed that for strength, I was really happy because, again, putting gear on, get more points in vitality. The Poison Creeper obviously really helps with your poison damage. Faster Run Walk, you're already very fast with Frenzy, but when your Frenzy charges aren't quite up, this helps you. The Life Leech would be great if we did any physical damage. You could experiment, just a quick side note, with having one dagger class to actually get the stabs with using poison strikes. You have to use a dagger or a scythe, right? So you could have dagger in this hand and maybe a berserker axe in this hand with Venom Runeword in it. So you still get the +6 to poison damage, but a little bit of physical. But I've noticed that that tiny bit of increase on the base damage is still not enough to combat the fact that there's no enhanced damage percentage from the rune word itself. So you still wouldn't be getting much out of life leech and things. I mean, if you got like life per kill, things like that, then that would work really well. In my case, I just hit run and use juves. That's what they're there for, full juves. So, all the way, full send. Anyway, so yeah, carry and wind, mandatory. And then I've got Venom Grips. Again, I got these really early on in the season. The mana leech, it's rubbish. Again, we don't do enough physical damage for it to work. But 15 to poison skill damage. Again, the crushing blow. If you're against a boss and you know, because bosses, they do more damage, but there's less interference, of course, unless you're fighting Bale with all those tentacles. But you can get away with just stab hilariously in melee with Frenzy. So the mana and the life leech does sort of kick in, but then the amount of damage like Bale would do just means that anything you gained is lost, you know, double to what you gained. So it's sort of like, whatever. But it can be used in a pinch, is what I'm saying. If you're up against, you know, you've just cleared the screen in a map, there's a couple of stragglers left with very low health that are quite weak and don't do a lot of damage, you can sit there and frenzy stab to get life and mana back. So it's not entirely useless. Right, so that's my gear selection. As I said, very geared towards the poison damage. Right, so let's look at the charms. So, Torch and Annie. I bought the Annie cheap because of the lack of vitality, but I needed the res. This one, I can't remember what I paid for it, I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. Got a couple of masteries because you get the juicy bonuses here, like natural resistance, some defense, a bit more of everything good going on there. So I would like them to be better, of course. I sold a mastery skiller with huge life at the start of the season. I was like, I don't need that. I built 2 barbs since then. The wolf barb would have loved it. In fact, I think it was on the wolf barb when he died, maybe. Oh, so much stuff. Anyway, some better mastery skillers. And this one, I'd like better max damage, of course. But the idea is the poison skill damage is great, of course, but poison damage itself is better. This is why we have lots of these. So this is the Pride and Joy. You want to find more of these. Huge poison damage. Sadly, this is the only one I found this season. But these sorts of things are really good as well. So, poison damage, life. Poison damage, life, fantastic. I've got a whole bunch of those. This one is oddly broken in the sense that it does more damage than one of these. So I kept it in and I'm not asking questions. I'm sure a statistician can tell me why. It's got something to do with the prefixes and suffixes because these are pestilent. Toxic is higher. So the prefix roll is higher. Blight, the suffix, is quite low, which is why it's 68, which comes out lower than 65, because pestilent would be some and some. But I'm not arguing. I love it. It's great. Anyway, so we've got a bunch of these, and we've got one large charm. Sadly, doesn't have a second mod, but still great. It still does the job, oddly. And then we have a bunch of these. The reason I'm keeping them is because they, again, huge life. These don't actually do as much damage as, say, 2 of these. And I'll show you an example, because I've gathered 2 more of these. I haven't put in my stash yet. But I'll be getting rid of this 14 to lifer, losing life for damage. But I've kept a lot of these because, as I said, huge life bonuses. But I'll show you what I mean. So, here we go. It doesn't have a second mod. It has a rubbish second mod. So this is why I'm a bit reluctant to change them. I'll show you for the purposes of stats. This is without buffing as well. We haven't done any skill buffing yet. We haven't cast battle orders, but we will. So it's 5125. Poison strike, as you can see, pierces 27% poison resistance, which is good. And then a small amount of damage over 2 seconds, and that's because I keep removing these. So 903 top end. If I remove that, 889. I thought, okay, that looks pretty good. And see, 5125, I remove one, 5055. Then if I get rid of this one, pop in these 2. Yeah, I mean, the skill's gone down, but the additions are meaty. So, you know, you want as many of those as possible. I mean, even if you look at Frenzy, it's like 5k nearly. You know, or so it says, because obviously poison isn't physical and there's factors in there. I mean, yes, there's reduction. It's a balancing act is what I'm trying to say, people. So you do want some of these. Don't neglect them. But if you did have a full inventory of these with fantastic second mods, let's say you had those. 65 poison damage, 18 to life, all across the board. Obviously, barring a couple of masteries and a couple of those. Be in heaven. It's fantastic. With that, we'll move on to stats. So we have enough strength, again, when we weapon switch and things, to keep our Bramble on. Because it's fire resist 30, poison resist 100, you don't need. Dex, I sort of toy with putting between Dex and Vitality because, you know, attack rating is important against the bosses, because the thing about Venom, Rune Word, is it has ignores target's defense on it. So hitting trash mobs and activating the poison is, you don't have to worry about it. But it is against the bigger, chonkier things that you need to switch weapon. Archer's Puzzler, like I said, we've got the cast rate there and the cast rate there. We cast Battle Cry and Grim Ward incredibly quickly and then switch back. So we have only, as I said, a tiny amount of damage reduction and no magic damage reduction. We're very squishy. The resistances are quite good now, and then when we cast Battle Orders, they're even better. Elemental Mastery, we have 94% Poison Mastery, 62% Pierce. Now when our secret weapons kick in, and because I've done a map recently, I've noticed one of my secret weapons isn't even on because it dies. But you can have, I said, the Poison Creeper summoned, which is going to do minus 15% to enemy poison resistance. We have Desecrate for when we're in boss rooms. So we cast Desecrate to, you know, tickle the poison damage, of course. It's not really why we're there. We do it so we can cast Grim Ward. So we quickly cast some Desecrate, pop up Grim Ward, happy days. Yes, sorry, back to this. We have 62% faster hit recovery. It's in a weird place between the two breakpoints, but what can you do? That's got to do with combat reflexes and things like that. I'd love to have the 86 breakpoint because we're very squishy. It's not massively necessary. 48's fine, but you don't want to make gear sacrifices for 86. Again, you move so fast and you can use safety tactics as well. I forgot to mention, like we have 1 point in leap for a good reason. If we're getting overwhelmed, we leap out of danger, or if you can weapon switch and teleport out of danger. There's plenty of safety factors, but mostly you're running really fast with Frenzy. Increased attack speed frames. As you can see, at the moment, Poison strikes at 11 frames. You're thinking, dang, that's really slow and rubbish. What are you doing? But you charge up Frenzy. As soon as you've charged up Frenzy, that goes to 9 frames. So you run in, you stab, you run away. Then, secret weapon, which is all about the tactics. Get to the secret weapon. I just want to make sure I've filled everything here. So we have 19 life leech and 9 mana leech, which I said are both entirely useless, sadly. Very high, very useless. We have 4 life per kill, which does help though. And sadly no mana per kill. This character does like to chug his mana pots. But again, what you could do is, you know, craft up some half freeze duration rings or something, get some half freeze duration boots there, you know, try and incorporate some life per kill, mana per kill and stuff. Again, this is just what I landed on. The thing about character development, he's only 92. I could run maps, get better boots, ditch the Raven Frost, half freeze duration, with life and mana per kill on that ring, you know, different slams in the places I can get them, etc, etc. Experiment, people. This isn't gospel, it's just an idea. You can flesh it out how you please. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it really. As we said, we've got 70k poison damage, which is insane. You watch the enemies tick. They tick away. So, Mercenary, we'll go into that. So, my Mercenary is a 4-socket pus spitter with 4 shales, and she has the 8-frame breakpoint. She's a physical Mercenary, so she uses Strafe, and as fast as 8 frames, everything is bathed in lower resist at all times, which means I break poison immunes, and everything suffers. Because if it's not poison immune, and then I have the crazy Mastery and Pierce, everything melts. It's insanely funny. You are relying on the lower res if you're Mercenary. Now, if you were super rich, you would use Rapture on an Act 5 Barbarian, White Aura one, and just let him tank and go to town. But what that does mean is you'll probably end up reviving him and potting him a lot, because he will stay in the fray. The actual useful thing about an Act 1 Mercenary is obviously they skirt the enemies like we do. So when we stab and run away, she'll run away too. And it's actually more beneficial to the gameplay. Obviously she's more squishy, but if we make sure that she's got reasonable running, so she's got, it cannot be frozen boots as usual because I'm a cheap ass, but fast. She'll run fast. We have piercing. I think she has over 100 pierce, 129. I could pull that off and give her a more chunky defense armor and she'd still have 99 projectile pierce. So that's all good. But I keep it on because attack speed, faster hit recovery, pierce, all in one place, done. The rest of the mods, negligible. Rubbish slam, well, faster hit recovery because of the shale engine. The armor, I did have a shale in there for faster hit recovery, but I put increased attack speed dual in because I changed these, because I bricked them. They had fast increased attack speed on them, they bricked, which is why these were unslammed, because I dare not do it again. I was like, I need resistance bolts and everything, so again, bolts need an upgrade. Razor Tail, again, rubbish slam, but piercing, max damage, all that good stuff. Again, you could trade in pretty much a lot of this gear. Then lastly, we've got Lava Gout for the enchant, so that we both get a bit of AR against bosses, just to make sure that the poison dagger is connected. And yeah, I could have half freeze duration boots here again, like I said, because she has Lava Gouts on. Bit of a lazy merc configuration, only in the sense that I just need that very fast frames. And we also need her ability to slow movement, which is a fantastic concept, which we'll go over in the gameplay in a second. We'll quickly talk about maps. So with the Barbarian, Torrent Jungle is a good one. We're going to show the example gameplay in there, because low for poison and low physical. Same with Ariat Battlefield, Fall of Chaldeum, and Torrent Jungle. So he has a lot of choice in his Act 1. Tier 2, sorry, Act 1, Tier 1. Tier 2 is Lost Temple and Ruins of Vizier. Again, he doesn't really have many problems, especially not in Ruins of Vizier, because it's a big open area where you can run around stabbing things. You do get into those sort of temple areas, like the Travancore screen objects, and that can be a bit hairy. But I tend to find, because you can leap in those, you just hotkey your leap. Like I've done, I got on F1 and I just leap out, or if I'm in the middle of trying to cast Battle Cry, Grim Ward and things, you know, I've got F5 hotkey to just jump out as well. Or Merc repositioning if she gets in trouble. Because if you're running into big mobs trying to, you know, bomb them or carpet bomb them, she can get caught out. But it's not often. Like I said, she will run away with you, like I said. But anyway, Tier 3s. So you've got Tier 3s is actually golden for this character, because in public maps, everyone runs Throne of Insanity, Ruined Cistern, and Phlegathon. And they're the 3 best maps for this character because of the low poison and physical abuse. It's fantastic. So you're very happy in public maps. I tend to find I'm still employing the same hit and run tactics, because you don't want to get gunned down by fanaticism, might, cursed, extra strong archers in Throne of Insanity. You know, I've seen my life pool dip in public maps very scarily. I still employ hit and run tactics, because you can hide behind the Necromancer and its summons and things. But obviously there's a lot going on there. The Necromancer's casting out lots of curses. The Druid has the Oak Sage. There's probably a Barbarian with better battle orders in the game, as I was told last night by someone. I was like, well, yeah, what'd you expect? I'm geared for battle orders. I'm not a singer. That was last season. But anyway, I'm not taking offense to it. So, yeah, still hit and run tactics, but, you know, instead of 2k life, you'll have 3k life, maybe even more. And it's so good. You can roll with the big boys on this one. But singularly, alone, it's very squishy hit and run stuff. So hot. So, example gameplay and the reveal of the secret weapon tactic of a Barbarian skill that is seldom used, but incredibly useful for this. So we go in, we buff our battle orders. As you can see, we don't have a lot of life. So what do? So we're employing a corpse bomb tactic. Now, dare I not speak of Diablo 3, but the Witch Doctor had a skill with the zombies where it imbued it with poison and it would run out of him like, boom, and then blow up with poison. We're essentially creating one of those, but in a different way. So, let me show you what I mean. We go in, we find an enemy, start charging up Frenzy while the Merc's doing her thing. So that's the first boring part about this. And as you can see, we've got loads of ads kicking off, we've got the Twisters coming from Carrion Wind, and we have the Venom coming from our... the Venom? Sorry, yeah. The Nova coming from the Venom. Again, they're no slouches, they do reasonable damage. I'm not even using Poison Strike yet. There we go, now I'm Poison Striking. As you can see, melts. So now what do? Okay, we're going to run into a big mob. What we do Look at that. We employ Howl. And as you can see, what happened was the Mercenary cast her lower resist, and when I cast Howl, it disappears. Now that's unfortunate. As you can see, extra strong enemy there, chunked my life. That is another problem that I talked about earlier. But not a huge deal. So what we do, we run into the mob, we poison them, we cast Howl, he runs away. Now if he had that on him, he creates a poison cloud that runs into the mob, and then blows up, poisons everybody else. Because once the enemy dies, he releases a poison cloud. There we go. We help Hole, run away. Okay, Mercenary gunned them all down. That doesn't help. Again, she's a queen. Thanks for gunning them down, but I'm trying to do an example here. But anyway, you get what I mean, right? You howl it away. It runs back into the mob. He blows up. Yeah, and there you go. It blows up. You cast a chain reaction. Not a very good example. Imagine that in a big group. And it's insane. So you leap into the group, you slap it. The group slaps you. You know, you teleport back out again, or leap out, or teleport back out again. It's scary. And we pull up those. There we go, he hit me, that really hurt. Okay, so we shout him away, we don't like him. Oh, he's dead anyway. Doesn't matter. Single target. Look at that, just obliterated. This is such a fun build, it really is. As you've seen from just these small engagements, I am very squishy. That is the one thing you have to consider. You are not a tank. Run in, you stab, you run away. Like this. Make sure you keep Frenzy charged up, you run in, you stab, you run away. Gets too hairy, you howl. Like that. And it doesn't matter that the low resist gets rocked like that. The Mercenary will just cast it again. She'll shoot at their fleeing backs. And the advantage of slow movement means they flee very slowly as well. So they'll stay within the range and they'll stay tightly grouped. Because each monster flees differently. Like jungle hunters and beetles and things, they flee really fast because they move fast. Like these little buggers as well, the tree lurker, they flee fast. These things, not so much, them not so much. But if you've got slow movement on, everyone's in the same place at that point. They all get reduced, which is really useful. So that's why I totally recommend slow movement Mercenary. As you can see, look, they're all moving at the same pace. And some of them poisoned, some of them dead, some of them not. And that's where you come in. And this is the sort of thing you charge up your frenzy again. As you can see, we charged up a little bit. We were halfway, about what I estimated before. And there we go. That's scary, so we'll howl him, stab him a bit, move away. Oh, look, he's down. We've already moved on, say, to the next target. Bam. It's just insane, isn't it? I love it. So yeah, that is the Poison Strike Barbarian. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I say he's not a super tank. Maps, again, are slow. You're not doing 5-minute maps here. This tier 1 will probably take me 15-20 minutes, again, based on how I operate. If you want to move through things fast, leap through mobs, stab, leap through, stab, and then just see if the loot filter pops up something as you run away. The other day that happened to me. I was over here stabbing something, I howled it away, and then something died over here and dropped a jar rune. Because I was over here still killing things, and the loot filter said jar rune. I was like, what? Where? Where? And I had to run and find it on the map. So, yeah. If you can get into a rhythm of, you know, poison stab things, you know, howl it away or leap into the next pack, if you've got huge density, it really works. Just be mindful of how squishy you are, because the other day, this video nearly didn't happen. I was testing this in a Phlegathon map. I leapt in and got cornered in one of those impassable terrain pieces, and I very nearly died. I panicked and eventually managed to get out with a TP like that, I think. So I was trying to leap and I kept getting hit, and oh, it was a nightmare. Anyway, but we're here now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how you feel about it. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. I appreciate it. Oh, it's a comedy of errors. That's also a good example about how you deal with scary stuff. Fight! See, he's not the fastest boss killer. But I'm glad I had this come up in the map so I could show you the difference. Like Blood Raven, lots of mob. So lots of poison explosion, lots of chances to do damage. Diablo, however, a bit of a taxing experience. I'm not keeping up a lot of the stuff that would help. The Grim Wards, the call it. That's a cry. Help the Mercenary. But yeah, that's what it's like killing bosses. Against the smaller targets, as I said in the video, you can get your life back. Not a problem. Targets that are weaker, stragglers by themselves. Yeah, engaging the big stern. Just wanna have a stab. Cool. Let's go deal with the reason I'm. Oh, okay. Yeah, Mercenary got trapped there. She spawned him on her head. Very fair of me. But yeah, mob-wise, I stabbed, I walked away. All got poisoned, all blew up. One thing I will mention on my way into the boss room to show you the boss is a few things that I sort of left out of it, which is if lower resist on casting spawned on wands, scepters, things like that, not just staffs, I would have an Act 3 old Mercenary, so that I had prayer, so that I could have life on hits to be more of a tank in tier 3 maps. Because I kind of undersold the whole life leech tanking thing. Look, I'm not casting poison strike now, or stabbing poison strike, I'm just zealing. And as you can see, I am getting my life leech back there. I do have enough of it. So as you see, I got hit there for a fair amount. Let's just keep leeching. It does do okay. You know, if you intersperse a few poison strikes and keep leeching, it's not terrible. It's just, like I said, it's not good in tier 3 maps. So one thing you could experiment with gear-wise, which I've not done because I didn't want to spend the money on it, is instead of Mara's for the +2 towards skills, you could, if you had money, you could have a metal grid slam with +1 skills. So you get, you know, resistances, AR, the +1 still towards Poison Strike, but more importantly, you can make Purity Runeword golems, right? And then you'll have the Prayer Aura, so that you can have life on hit, stab bomb, and stay in melee range. So that is something to consider if you're a rich person. Get a +1 slam metal grid instead of Mara's. You still get the res, you know, slightly less skills. Again, if you Lucy on it, you know, +1 slam, another plus skill on it. That would be the ideal amulet slot. So yeah, that's something I didn't really go over. But yeah, as you can see, I'm sort of leeching off the Great Worm there. I'm not really dying, but I'm not really gaining. You know, certain things you can get away with. But that was just my thoughts there. So I just bring that to you as I was showing the boss killing example. Oh, and one more quick thing. That map took me maybe north of half an hour. But the reason is, you know, I got up and had a pee and talked to my wife, and, you know, I ID absolutely everything, as you can see. I pick up stuff. I'm a big fan, as we know, of Spell Steel on Switch. I don't need Amp, which is why I'm not using it on this character. That's why he gets Nages, skills, and teleport, as I said, instead of this. Well, if he needed Amp, he'd have that. Anyway, but yeah, I pick up everything, ID everything. That's why it took so long. Yeah, there you have it, everybody. Thanks for watching the bonus footage to the very end. Appreciate it.